Are you the type of person who always cram for your exams? You know you have an exam to do, you may know it weeks before the exam, but you wait until the very last minute to study for it. So you may start studying for that exam just the night before the exam. Is that you? In this video, I want to talk about why cramming for an exam is a very bad idea and why you should never do it, okay? Let's talk about the reasons why cramming for an exam, or as we say in the Jamaican culture, swatting for an exam, why it is a very bad idea and why it is worth it for you to be fully prepared for your exam in advance of the night before that exam, okay? Let's talk about it. So the first thing that happens when you swat for an exam or you cram for an exam is that it increases your level of stress and anxiety. When you sit in the exam, the intense pressure of cramming can really lead you to just feel so anxious because you're really consuming a lot of information in a very short period of time. So you trying to retain all of that information will never ever work in your favor, because the thing is that you may be able to retain the information for a short period of time, but even if you're able to retain the information for the period of the exam, you oftentimes will forget it right after. So you still will not know the information. You may be able to pass the exam, yes, but honestly, you will not remember anything after the exam ends. So you want to think about, is this worth it for me to really cram all this information, feel stressed out the day before, because your brain can only consume so much at a time. So it's already consuming a whole lot of other information, and then you are trying to put pressure on it. So when you get into that exam room, honestly, you'll be fortunate if you do remember anything that you crammed the night before. So it can lead you to feeling really stressed out, really anxious, and it can affect your mental health as a result. The next thing I want to talk about why it is a bad idea for you to cram before an exam is that, of course, it can also cause you to have less sleep quality, okay? So it can reduce your sleep quality because, of course, you're sitting up late the night before, usually studying for that exam, right? Of course, it can lead to sleep deprivation, and of course, that also will affect your cognitive function and your overall health. So how often are you cramming? It is one thing if you cram for an exam every few months or so, but if every single exam you have, you're cramming for the exam, you're waiting until the last moment, you're not studying in advance, and you're waiting right before the exam, maybe an hour or two before the exam, or the night before you have the exam the following morning, you're trying to get all that information in. Don't do that, okay? Bad idea. So please do not do that. The next thing I want to talk about is that it can affect your concentration, your decision making, as well as your problem solving skills during that exam. So that is another thing that you want to make sure that you avoid when you have an exam to do. Before I get into the other points why cramming for an exam is a very bad idea, please go ahead and hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can get more eyeballs on my videos, as well as leave a comment if you have anything to share regarding any of my videos. I'd appreciate the support, okay? All right, so the next item that I want to talk about is that it also lower your academic performance. So understanding and critical thinking are usually compromised when you cram for an exam. So of course, that will also lead to you performing poorly on your exams. So it affects your ability to really reason logically and in a rational way that makes sense, because number one, you will likely be sleep deprived because you sat up all night cramming for that exam, okay? And so not only will your concentration and your memory be affected, but your reasoning abilities will also be affected. So again, you want to be prepared for your exams in advance so you do not have to cram for your exams. The other thing I want to mention is that the information learned through cramming is less likely to be retained, of course, as I said, on a long-term basis. And of course, that can affect your future academic and even your professional endeavors. So when you actually cram, you don't know the information 6 hours, 10 hours the next day after that exam. You will have already forgotten all the information. So when you have your final exam, for example, you still have to study everything again. When you have any sort of midterm exams, you still have to study everything again. If it's the pattern that you have of cramming, it can definitely affect you on a continual basis. You want to make sure that that is not you. You are not that person. You don't want to be that girl or boy who is cramming all the time for your exams. You really need to make sure that you are well prepared for your exams, that you study in advance. Don't wait until the last minute, because it's just not worth it. The other thing I want to talk about is physical health issues. When you cram, it can often lead to having poor eating habits, not exercising much because if you're cramming, you have no time to exercise, and then sleep deprivation, as I mentioned before. So these issues can lead to you having poor physical health, such as headaches, feeling tired and sleepy all the time. It can even affect your immune system because it can weaken your immune system, which means that you will get sick easier. The other thing I want to talk about is increased risk of burnout. So you cramming everything at the last minute can lead to you feeling academically burned out. It can reduce your motivation to do well and even your interest in continuing your studies. So that's another thing that you want to take into consideration. And then most people who do cram have very poor time management skills. So it can really affect your overall study habits. Obviously, that will affect your overall academic success as well. So you want to make sure that you have a schedule. If you know that you have certain assignments that you need to do and the due dates for those assignments, you know that you have an exam coming up this week, or you have an exam today and another one tomorrow and another one 2 days later, you want to make a schedule to make sure that you have enough time to allocate to each of those things that you have to do. So if you have an assignment and you said, okay, this is a 20-page paper that I have to write, you want to give yourself time and try to think about how long will I need to do this? Do you need to do research? Is it something you're going to write primarily out of your head? How many references will you need for that paper? So how many articles will you have to read to get the information that you need to write the paper? You want to focus on that, and then you want to allocate time accordingly for that paper. If you have an exam, it depends on how many chapters of a book or how many different topics that the exam will be on, in terms of how much time you will need to allocate to studying for that exam. Okay, so if you have a whole notebook that you need to study for that exam, so if it's the final exam, for example, you want to make sure that you set a schedule so that you can allocate enough time to really study and get all the information that you need to know before you walk into that exam. All right, so I hope that you will take these things into consideration the next time you think about not being prepared fully for an exam, instead of waiting until the night before you start studying. Okay, don't do that. Bad idea, guys. It will not benefit you at the end of the day. Trust me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have subscribed to the channel. If you have not, it's another opportunity. Please hit that subscribe button. It won't cost you anything, I promise. If you are interested in more videos like these, where I share different information in terms of research, anything academic related, free job training, free courses that you can take where you can get certification, then this is a channel for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.